Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Redux What Ifs. Now, before y'all get to taking my head off, man, I just had to take a break a little bit. Well, it really wasn't even a break. It was due to like school. A lot of stuff was happening in my personal life. And I should have just been a little bit more transparent and open with y'all, but so much happened so quick. So, I'm okay. If y'all wanted to know, I'm okay. I'm fine. It was just, school. I got my license for HVAC, so now I could, make a lot of money and then do YouTube at the same time. So I'm just happy to be back. We happy to chill and be back over here, man. So, like I said, this is part 3 of season 4 of What If Superman was in Invincible. I know y'all been waiting for this one, and trust me, I've been kind of lazy. I'm not gonna hold y'all, but I have a lot of stuff going on. But it's really just been me focusing on school. That's really it, man. But here I am about to deliver y'all a banger. I'm about to deliver y'all a banger of a what if, man. So I appreciate y'all for all the love and support. I got another upload for y'all. I'm gonna do a Superman, the Smallville. What if Goku was in Smallville? And I might do that like an hour and 30 special. Get a few episodes in there. So I'm gonna put up a poll. Y'all let me know who y'all want Goku to be with, man. Like, honestly, I mean, I don't even like. I'm gonna be real, bro. If y'all say Lana, bro, I might have to delete my channel because we don't mess with Lana, bro. Lana a homie hopper. Well, I would say during the what is it? I would say during when she was with Lex and stuff and trying to quote unquote protect Clark, they was doing Lana dirty, bruh. And then she was dating a high school coach, like all that other stuff. Now that I'm really remembering what Lana was doing, bruh, Lana ain't shit, bruh. But still a good character in the Smallville overall. But just like how over time she was like becoming like a likable character, like a neutral. Sometimes she cool, but other times it'd be like, bruh, what the hell are we doing? But y'all let me know who you want Goku to end up with. And for this one, I was gonna make it a little bit different, cause I'm gonna say for the what if for Smallville that he does have some innate abilities that he has. Like I'm gonna give y'all a little sneak peek. I'm gonna throw in the Kyle Cannon there. I'm not gonna say the other transformations, but yeah, he will have energy control like he usually does. And I'm gonna just leave y'all with that little itty bit. He does have the tail too, so we'll figure that out, especially when what happens. But we ain't talking about Smallville X Dragon Ball. We talking about Superman and Invincible. So like I said, I appreciate y'all for all the love and support. I'm about to try some new things with me doing what ifs and adding music. For example, with the what if Miles was in Spectacular Spider-Man, I was gonna add some actual like songs. Well, since they're like underground songs, I don't think I'm gonna get copyrighted, but you never know. We might have to play it safe. But I just got a lot of things coming. I'm gonna start adding some sound effects in there as well. Try to like give it more immersive detail when I tell y'all these what ifs, when I tell y'all these stories. But without any further ado, we finna hop into this Invincible what if, and we gonna let this intro play. And after we let this intro play, y'all gonna kick back, grab a snack, relax, do your homework, maybe study. I don't know what y'all gotta do, but if you on your work shift, hey, I'm gonna need you to do something. Tune in to that 9-hour what if y'all haven't caught up with the Invincible series yet. If y'all haven't caught up with the Invincible series, you tune into that 9-hour what if, bro. I tell you, it gets you through the whole shift. For real. Or if you want to dabble into some anime, do that High School DxD video I got with all the parts combined. And speaking of God of High School X High School DxD, I'm bringing back another series, man. I'm about to pick back up What If Deku Was Morihjin, and I was gonna and then I'm gonna start another series of What If Daiwei from God of High School was in what's that anime called? Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Y'all okay, let me know if y'all fuck with this. What if Daioi Han was in Solo Leveling? Well, let me know what Solo Leveling what if you want me to do, bro. Honestly, we could put Morihjin in there. We could put Daioi Han in there. It don't matter. It don't matter. We could do a Solo Leveling what if, bro. Honestly, I've never seen people do Solo Leveling what ifs. Now that I really think about it, nobody has done Solo Leveling what ifs. This might be my niche for real. So, without any further ado, man, let's the intro play, and we gonna get into the what if. Now, we start this what if off where, if y'all didn't know where we were at last time, we skimmed over where the sequence attack again. Dinosaurus comes back, right? Dinosaurus comes back, and what else? What else happens? Dinosaurus comes back, and he was over here whooping on Mark's ass. Not gonna hold you. And with that being said, right? This is when we also find out that Mark is still trying to recover from. He's basically still trying to recover from what happened, and he's basically trying to recover from what happened. You know, he basically has trauma with him fighting in the Invincible War, killing Conquest, and all that other stuff. While that happened, he when Mark wanted like a mental break, he's still doing hero work, but when he wanted a mental break, Superman kind of picked up on everything, and he's basically just Superman's basically just picking up where Mark left off at, pretty much. So after he does that, right? After he does that, pretty much everything goes to canon, and we're gonna start things on episode 4, right? So we're on episode 4, I believe, or maybe I already did episode 4. No, I said we're gonna do 4 or 5. Okay, yeah, now I remember. So we're on episode 4, where Clark is helping around the farm, fixing up some things, and then this is where it opens with Damien Darkblood. He uses Nolan's blood for a summoning ritual that goes wrong, and while that happens, somehow, some way, we're gonna say plot convenience, it accidentally ends up pulling Clark into the circle, right? And now he's trying to figure out how in the hell did he get here, literally, right? So this is where the evil spirit Kahor, I don't even remember that when we did season 1, or maybe I just skipped over that, honestly, escapes into chaos. And then hell is, y'all already know how the hell looks in the Invincible, a nightmarish, fiery, monstrous realm, and the villain Volcanica has overthrown Satan and seized the throne, planning to release the vile monsters to invade and conquer Earth. And so, at first, Darkblood was just saying, like, how did he end up getting him out of all people? And then that's when Clark was confused as they're traversing through hell and fighting all the demons and enemies. And he was like, "What do you mean?" And then this is when Darkblood said, when you were going through, when he was going through the circle and the summoning ritual, he's one of the most pure-hearted beings he's ever felt, like the energy wise, because they could see auras and energy, and then we get a point of view as we see Darkblood looking at Clark, and you see this yellowish blue white aura that just surrounds Clark, as that's basically his energy that he's given off since he got that boost from Kingdom Come Superman. And as Kingdom Come Superman turned into Prime 1 million after that, yeah, we get that. So Clark just explains that, he just was raised by very good parents, and he only has them to thank for making him become such a respectable person that he think he is, right? Or he tries to be. He tries to be the man of tomorrow, getting better each and every day, right? So as they fight demonic entities, right? We just gonna not skip over it, but we just gonna kind of speed run it a little bit, right? So as they navigate through hell's dangers and fight demonic entities, with Clark over here giving the demonic entities beats, mind you, Clark is getting hurt, because if we know, I do believe that magic exists in the Invincible universe. Now, we all know that Clark is not weak to magic. He just doesn't have any defenses against it, as he has overcame magic before. But, hellfire, magic fires and lightning bolts and shit, still the same. So he was over there, trying to shake it off, over here just, getting hit while taking hits, giving hits while taking blast and stuff. Pretty much the same old Clark that we all know. So after that, they find and retrieve the molten crown from the Guardian in Cerberus, right? And then this is where Mark uses, not Mark, it was supposed to be Mark, my bad. This is where Clark, has, I would guess you could say this was a little bit more of a tougher battle, since it's a fiery hell dog that has magic. So, Clark is over here, trying his best not to, beat the dog, because, he likes animals, even though it's really not that big of a deal. I mean, it is pretty much a bigger deal, but you know what I mean. So he's over here dodging the bites and chomps, and then this is where Superman gets hit by the tail, right? Gets hit by the tail, and then this is where one of them shoots a blast of fire out of him, as Superman blocks it, as he's feeling the effects. He's getting burnt a little bit as he gets shot back, but he catches himself, and then that's when he was like, okay, now we had enough. And so this is where Superman charges his solar energy, as there's like this like silhouette of a bluish aura around him, and then that's where he dashes, and then this is where he speed blitzes the hellhounds, as he zips to one corner and the other, and then he gives an uppercut to the dog that had the dog that's in the middle, right? So he uppercuts the dog that's in the middle, right? And then he zips around to the left, and then kicks that dog, right? And so they fly back and tumble over, and then they catch themselves, as this is where the dog comes back, and then that's where he tries to run at Clark, and then that's where as the dog was about to chomp, all right, he chomps, but as he chomps Clark, right, he disappeared, as it was an after image, and then that's when Clark circled around the dog over and over and over. As he was blowing, he used his super breath, right, his freeze breath, and then that's when he came up and shot a powerful freeze beam as strong as he could, as it exploded, right? It exploded and froze the dog. It legit froze the dog. So he froze the dog in place. The dog will eventually get out because it's hot, but you know how strong Clark is, as he's able to put hot things out, extremely hot things out. So this is where they retrieve the crown, right? They retrieve the crown, and then they confront Volcanica, right? They confront her, and then this is where they begin to fight, as she knows who Clark is, because hell, and and like she knows who Clark is, because even the hell knows about Clark, because like he's like the most pure-hearted person that even though he hasn't done some pure heart things, but you could kind of say that he is pure heart due to the reason being like he will do it if it's necessary, because it's out of his character. Well, not out of his character, but you get what I'm saying. Like, my mind is all over the place for some reason. But what I'm trying to say is that even when he did kill those few times, he did it out the goodness of everyone. It was more like not like in a selfless way, except for the conquest thing or the doomsday thing, where he had to put that down. Like, he had no choice but to do that. So Volcanica and Clark, along with Dark Blood, fight, and this is where Clark was beginning to lose on the other side. Even though Clark is strong, and all that other stuff, he does have solar. He can, his powers can drain if he uses them strong off rip. Like he has like solar reserves, and he could use his powers, but like if he goes like days or weeks without the sunlight, he'll start to get a little weaker. Or if he uses his solar power reserves on the high end, like that huge blast that he did, or charging his or using his more oomph of power to put things down, then it will show up. But other than that, after pretty much everything goes to canon, Clark and Dark Blood save the day, right? So after that, Clark returns to Earth, and he tells Dark Blood, if you need anything, or if hell is in an uproar again, just let him know ahead of time instead of just getting summoned, and he doesn't mind helping out. And so that's when they shake hands. He was like, he tells him thank you, and ever since he helped, he sees him like a brother now, right? So after that, Superman flies, and he heads to Mark's house to see how he's doing ever since the whole Sequid evasion, and everything that he had to do, and had to kill the Sequids, right? And it kind of took a toll on Mark. So him and Clark, fly up, and they basically are flying, but they're just walking on air, So they're basically, Mark is basically telling them how he feels about all the guilt and actions that he's having, and he's basically saying, is it even worth it being a hero right now? Because he feels like he's done so much bad. And Clark basically tells him that there's always going to be a downside of heroing. Rather you save 10 people, there's always going to be 20 more people that might need our help. And as long as you can save one person or as many people as you can, that's all that matters. You have to be the symbol of hope. And then that's when he said, you see the symbol on my chest, right? And he was like, yeah, it's the S. He was like, but your suit is black. He was like, yeah, I know. And people think that it's just me becoming more darker. It's not. It's a symbolism of the people that I've lost, or we have lost, while sometimes I can't bear the guilt. I feel like I should do my part in letting people know that in midst of grievance and sadness of mourning lost ones, there's still hope. And so that's why I'm wearing this one right now. He's like, I will get back to the brighter colors, but sometimes the brighter colors are hard to carry. And that doesn't mean that there isn't hope. That just means that, hope needs to not take a break, but hope needs, time to become brighter again. So I hope that made sense, Mark. And then that's when Mark said, yeah, it does make sense. He was like, so I just want you to know that, if you need anything, even outside of hero work, you may be Invincible and I may be Superman, but without the mask and without the suits, we're Mark and Clark. We're brothers, man. So don't be afraid to talk to me. Or if you need me to watch dang, what's his face? Oliver. Just let me know. He's like, I see Oliver as a brother too. I'm an only child, man. So you two are like the brothers I really never had. So feel free to come over, kick back at Martha's, same with Oliver. We could all go out, have some fun. And then he said, but don't be scared to let me know how you're feeling, man. And then that's when, so after that, that's where he basically, they basically talk about everything. And then that's when Clark said, all right, it's getting late. I'll see you tomorrow if you plan on doing some patrolling and heroing. If not, I'll be at the school. So with that, that's when Superman blasts off and flies off, right? And so after he flies off, he goes back to Martha's, heads to the crib, heads to the attic, giving that Smallville flavor. He heads to the not the attic, the barn where his room is at. And then that's when hold on, y'all already know what time it is. Hold on, y'all hear this? Y'all already know what it is, bro. Hold on. Woo! We sipping on that ice cold wok, boy, you heard? Nah, I'm playing, but in all honesty, bro, it's just some Powerade, but we got the fruit punch mixed with the grape, the blueberry a little bit, and a dash of lime, bro. That combination right there will hit every time. It hit every time. But as I was saying, so Clark, takes his suit off, gets in his flannel, and and you know what? We're not even gonna say his flannel. He gets in some shorts, bro. He gets into some shorts, and he's ready to he's ready to go, go to sleep, just take wind off for the day. And then this is where Eve flies in, or just walks in, and she was saying that she didn't know when to come by, so she decided to wait up for him, right? And then this is where Eve was planning to tell Clark that she's preggers, right? That she's pregnant, right? And so this is when Clark already knew. Well, he didn't mean it to, and then he was like, Eve, is everything okay? I sense your heartbeat. He said, I can hear your heartbeat, and it's starting to, speed up a little. And then he said, 2 heartbeats? And then that's when he like blitzed, and to hear it again, he was like, wait, are you? And she said, yes, but I didn't want to tell you because I knew you were dealing with things, and I didn't know how you would react. And then this is where she thought Clark was mad because his face like kind of darkened, like it was like one of those anime shadows when they just turn their head down. And then that's when he lifts her up, and then he started to fly. He was like, how could you not tell me this? He was like, okay, maybe I did understand why you didn't want to tell me, but if you thought for 1 second that I was going to be mad, that I'm going to be a father, you are mistaken. I'm going to be a dad. I'm going to be a parent. I'm going to be just like John. He was like, he's like, it's always been a dream of mine to, have a kid, whether it be a girl or a guy, but to be able to give the fatherly love that John gave me, it really means something. And I thank you for that. I thank you for this opportunity, because I really can't wait to be a father, and you are going to be the best mother ever. So I'm happy that you told me. Well, you didn't tell me, but I'm happy that this is happening. So don't feel discouraged. And then that's when he starts flying around with her, spinning around, and we fade to black, right? And then this is where, like, Clark is more resolved. Like, Clark is more, like, amped. Like, he's more resolved. He's more amped. He's good. He's ready to go. So now we move on to episode 5, right? This is where Clark and Mark are doing patrols and they're fighting bad guys, putting them away, and Mark notices that, Clark is actually doing good. Like, he does good, but like he's on point. Like, it's really weird to say that Clark is on point, because he's always on point when he's doing hero work. Let's just say he's more on point, right? And so this is where Mark was like, yeah, hey man, I noticed you are in a better mood than usual. He was like, of course, I have to upkeep the symbol of hope. I feel like I'm becoming a symbol of hope. And he was like, well, you're honestly living up to it. And then that's what this is where Mark asked if he could ask him something, because it doesn't seem fair to keep secrets from him. And he was like, what? I was like, and then this is what Clark was like, I mean, if it's a bad thing, unless you plan on turning against the planet, I would try to talk you out of it. And that's what Mark was like, no, I just want you to meet with my father, Omni-Man. And then that's when Clark was like, huh? Omni-Man? He was like, why would you be meeting with him? He was like, he's changed. Trust me, people change. And he was like, I do believe that, I do believe people could give second chances. And he was like, so you know what? I'm all ears. Tell me what you need. And so this is where Mark fills Clark in along the way, saying that the coalition of planets, he wants Clark to join. He could even be a reserve member if he doesn't want to be a full member like Clark is, or like he is. And he's doing it to help his dad out. But, the Viltrumite, he's saying there's a Viltrumite war, another one coming. And then that's when Mark is saying that they just want to go on the offense first before they get here. And, it might be like a part 2 of, the Invincible war. And then that's when Clark was like, okay. He was like, so tell me what I need to do. And so this is where they meet up with Omni-Man and Alan, right? This is where Clark was saying that he wants to protect Earth, but he understands that there's a bigger threat out there, right? And then that's when Mark was saying, if Superman would have been able to go, it would have been fine, but they both have to go. And now that they're both leaving, like Superman is really one of the heaviest hitters. And then that's when Mark was like, so with us leaving, who's gonna be there? And then that's when Clark was like, did you forget my cousin Kara can cover me? She has basically all my powers, and I think she may be a little stronger than me due to her absorbing more sunlight. But I feel like I'm on top of the game, but she could do just as a good job, or maybe even better than me. And then that's when Mark was like, that's right. He was like, I didn't really want to call her and ask her because we've been and then that's when Clark said, you've been guys, what, are you guys okay? He was like, yeah, I think she's just mad at me because I haven't been open with her as much as I should be. And he was like, well, I was like, that's what happens when you don't be honest with Kent. We get mad at you because you know how you're feeling, and it should be said to tell the person how you feel, especially the person that you love, right? He was like, yeah, so maybe I should apologize. And that's what Clark was like, maybe? No, you do need to apologize, man. He was like, if I did that to Eve would be mad at me, and she would have every right to be mad at me. And so that's when he was like, so before we leave, go apologize to her and make up with her. And so this is where we fast forward. Mark, sees Kara, and Kara's pretty mad at him. So she, pushes him away. He kind of flies back, and then that's when Mark was like, that's kind of deserved. And he apologizes to her. They make up, and he tells her that he's gonna be going into space for a mission for a little bit. So is it okay that if he covers for Mark and Clark? And he was like, yeah, sure. Not he. She was like, yeah, she doesn't have no problem with it. So after that, we travel to the planet. Fast forward, we travel to the planet. So we got Mark, Clark, Nolan, Oliver going as we got Mark, Alan, Oliver going as Kid Omni-Man, and we got Tech Jacket, Zoe, right? And that's what Alan the alien recruits her. So we got Tech Jacket, we got Omni-Man, we got Alan the alien, we got Clark, we got Mark, and yeah, the team's pretty stacked. So we traveled to Talasera, I think that's what it's called, and they're flying, right? They're flying, and that's when they get ambushed in space by the Viltrumites that were there. So this is where Lucan, Crad, and other Viltrumites come, right? So they get jumped, right? They get jumped deviously, right? They get jumped, right? And so this is where the fight begins. Mark is holding his own. Clark is going crazy. He's a Viltrumite tries to come. Actually, no. Lucan tried to fight Clark, which is a big mistake because he stopped his fist, and then this is where Clark punches him straight in his chest and he flies back. And then this is where they basically start fighting with more Viltrumites, and Mark and Clark fighting as this is where Oliver gets punched hard by some unknown force, as Clark catches him. He was like, Oliver, are you okay? And Oliver's like, sniffing the blood a little bit. He was like, yeah, I just need to get my head in the game. And then this is where you hear your head in the game, huh? And then this is where you see Conquest. But there's something different about Conquest. And you might say, does he still have the Doomsday DNA in him? No, Clark, banished Doomsday to the Shadow Realm, bro. Punched him so hard that he split. Like, he basically, he unknowingly did like a Superboy Prime punch. Just retconned it unknowingly. And should I give Superman the ability to do that? No, because he can do it. If you look at the recent comics, he did do that. He was punching so hard, he did start retconning shit. Superman has done it, but that's more of like a Superboy Prime thing. But yeah, that's what Superman did. The difference is that Conquest, that glove that he has, he doesn't have the glove no more. His hand came back because when he had the Doomsday virus, all the deficiencies that he had were pretty much healed. And he's a lot stronger now, stronger than his canon counterpart. And, I would say that mostly everybody in this What If is a little stronger because of Superman. So he's currently, Conquest is currently stronger than Mark right now. And then this is where he was like, I've came for revenge. And this is where Conquest wanted to want that rematch with Superman. So he burst straight towards Superman. And it kind of caught Superman off guard because, he's trying to make sure Oliver is okay. So with Oliver, in a way, it was kind of, he didn't want to hurt Oliver. So he kind of pushed him out the way. And then this is where Conquest and the other Viltrumites, jumped Superman, which really is not the best thing to do, and I'm gonna tell you why. So as they were fighting, right, they crashed through like this they were crashing, they were fighting through space, right? And this is where Conquest was given the mean rights to Superman, right? Just decking his face, just full power. And then this is where Superman headbutt his hand as Conquest let him go. He's like, ah! And then that's when Superman grabbed him by the by his suit and threw him, right? And so this is where Superman, right? Superman grabbed, like, threw him, right? And then this is where they landed on like a small moon, right? And so Conquest crashed on the moon, leaving like a deep crater. And then this is where Superman landed down, and he was like, and then this is when Superman was like, you just don't learn. He was like, and then this is when Superman says that, even, he was like, you're being blindly loyal to somebody who doesn't care about you. He was like, you need to understand. And then he was like, I'm even confused. How did you get out? I beaten you. I didn't kill you, but I beat you. Who finished you off? Because last time I checked, Mark did the finishing blow. Actually, no. Let me redact that. Mark didn't do the finishing blow. I did say that he did not Conquest out. So this is where Clark was demanding, who kept you? How did you return? And how did you escape from wherever you were? And then this is where Conquest reveals that a very smart human that is afraid kept them imprisoned. And he noticed that after the battle that Clark and Superman had, right? No, him and Superman had. He noticed that he gotten stronger than usual, and he noticed that he was stronger than Thrag. Well, I would say after the battle, Conquest is a little bit more comparable to Thrag. Like, if they both fought, Conquest could give Thrag sort of a run for his money, pretty much. So that's how strong he got. So that says a lot. So this is where he reveals that he's going to have recruit more Viltrumites, go back to the planet Viltrum, right? Go back to the planet Viltrum, recruit more Viltrumites, and take over Earth. And then this is where he flies towards him, and then this is where Superman meets him head on. And so they clash, which makes a huge crater in the moon even more, right? And then this is where Superman said he won't allow him to invade his world, right? And then this is where Conquest takes out something, right? He takes out his glove, and then this is where he has sort of tiny green shards in it. And you know what this is, because you know what happened, right? This is where Conquest introduces kryptonite. And so he's wondering, why is he feeling so weak? And this is where he was like, I really have to thank your people. And then this is where Superman was getting slightly weaker. He was like, my people? What do you mean, my people? And he was like, well, General Zod introduced me to this. And then that's when he started getting weak. He was like, and then that's where you see the green energy, starting to get on Superman's body, like traveling everywhere. And then this is where he was like, what is this? He was like, your people call this kryptonite. He was like, harmful on the red sun, since he's starting to understand this stuff. He said harmful under the red sun, but if it's radioactive, it severely weakens you. And then he said prolonged exposure can even kill you. And then this is when Conquest said, when I meant that I will have my revenge, I will have my revenge. And he started beating Superman, right? And so he's taking him through the ringer, bro. Like he's basically ragdolling Superman, because he got kryptonite, bro. He got the kryptonite, bro. And that's where he was like, where did you even get this from? He was like, I had it, and then this is where Conquest said that originally Zod didn't want to, give it to him, so he stole some, right? He stole some, and then when he was captured, Cecile found out what it was, and he replicated it, and then that's when Superman was like, damn, so now he has that, and then that's when Clark was, getting back up. Mind you, there's a yellow sun nearby, so it's kind of counteracting the effects. And then this is where that's where Conquest, punches Superman again, right? He punches him again, and then this is where he throws Superman as hard as he could, and then he flies into like a destroyed spaceship, right? And then this is where they got closer to that sun, and this is where Conquest was like, he was like, I wonder how that girl that you protected, that I almost killed, would feel if I came back and basically came back and finished the job. He's like, this time when I go back to Earth, I'll make sure I have her head on a pike. And he took the remaining kryptonite and stabbed it in Superman, and then threw him into the sun, as Superman is low-key dying, bro. He's low-key dying, bro. Actually, no, he's high-key dying. You really can't say it's low-key when Superman is very susceptible to kryptonite. But in my adventures with Superman, it seems like he got resistance to that motherfucker. I mean, we've seen Superman be resistant to kryptonite, so it's not completely far-fetched. So he throws him into the sun, and Superman, goes into the sun's orbit, and he's in critical condition, almost into a fatal condition. So after that, pretty much Conquest returns, and everything pretty much goes canon with Mark and Conquest having a round 2, right? So that goes canon, and while Mark is kind of getting his ass tossed it to him, he's getting belt to ass right now. We switch back to Superman, right? We switch back to Superman, and this is where Clark was is currently like in the he's on like the surface of the sun, like completely on the surface of the sun. And then this is where he's just sitting there, like he's absorbing all that energy, right? And then he slowly sinks into it, right? Slowly sinks to it. So he's like on the outer part of the sun, right? This is where he start having flashbacks and what Conquest said, and he sees John. And then this is where Clark was like, this is where Clark said that he was he meets John into like the limbo, like the after, like he's like in a limbo state, because part of him is trying to pull him back due to his his strong genes and DNA and his Kryptonian heritage and all that other stuff, absorbing it, but the kryptonite is too far lodged on him. And then this is where he was like, Dad? He was like, son. He was like, I've been watching you for a while, and you making me proud. He's like, I've seen you're ready to become a dad. And then he was like, you seen that? He was like, of course. I'm watching over my bundle of joy, man. And then that's when they talked, and then that's when Clark was like, I think I did, I think it's time for me to go. He was like, how did this happen? How did you get here? He was like, I was trying to stop an alien invasion, and they had this kryptonite thing. They call it kryptonite, and it weakens me, and I don't know how to bypass it. And then that's where he showed him. He showed him right here. And then this is where he was like, yeah, it did me in, so I'm dying. And that's why I guess I'm here to just wait till it's over. And then that's when John was like, now I raised you as a Kent. We're stubborn and hard-headed. And then this is Clark was like, this time, Dad, it's no use. He was like, I don't believe it. You can fight through this, Clark. So get up, rise, be who I know who you can be. And then that's when Clark was like, what do I need to be, Dad? I'm so many things, and I just don't want to ruin anything that people have for me. I don't want to ruin their image of me. I just want to be a hero. And then this is where this is where John said, you are a hero. You've been a hero ever since your power started growing in. And you've been helping people. You've been giving people hope. Be the symbol of hope I know you can be. And this is where John was like, I'll help you this one time. He was like, and I'll always help you because I'm your father. So let's do this together. And then this is where they grab the piece of kryptonite, right? And then this is where they both grab it, right? And as they were both grabbing it, he was like, tell Martha that I love her, and I'm proud that she is finally having her grandbaby. And then that's when Clark started to tear up, and he was like, you are damn right I will, Dad. And so he was like, now son, let's focus. And so this is where all the energy that he was absorbing came in. And then this is where they both grab it, right, and they take it out, and he was like, fight, son, fight. And he was like, and then this is where they both scream, right? They both and then as they took it out, Superman himself took it out, and he was in pain, right? He was in pain, and basically the sun basically cooked the kryptonite. It disintegrated in the sun, right? And then this was where, as Superman was about to faint, this is where we see the spirit of John. We see the spirit of John, right? His hand, as he was like let's say he was like a huge spirit, right? He was a huge spirit. And then this is where he takes his hand and pushes Superman, his son, up. And as he was pushing his son up, right, he was being lifted. And this is where Superman flies. He says, this is where John says, I have nothing left to teach you, my son. Grow your wings, spread your wings, fly, and cover the world in your hopeful wings. And this is where he pushes him out the sun, right? You already know what it's like. He pushes him out the sun, and he physically comes out the sun, right? And this is where Superman flies straight back, right? He flies straight back, right? And then this is where Superman, Superman was like, woohoo! As he overcame kryptonite, and so he's healed, right? Now, actually, no, he's healed, but there's like a scar that he got stabbed with right there, right? So he comes out, right, and he goes blurring, bro, full speed to the planet, right? And so this is where Clark, basically pops back up, and he's like radiating energy, as his eyes are like with heat vision, as he calms down a little bit. And so this is where the Viltrumites see him again, and they attack him. Big mistake. Superman started basically one-tapping these folks because they can't do nothing. So only reason why Conquest was able to do something, because he had a hidden hand, some kryptonite. So this is where Superman was like, he basically beat the Viltrumites, gave them belt to ass, and he heard Mark and Conquest fighting. So this is where he shoots down to the planet that they were on, right? And there was more Viltrumites. This is where Superman lands, and Lucen was about to hit Oliver. So he, slow motion time, right? Sped towards Oliver, got him out the way, and then he punched Lucan in the gut, which kind of made him cough up blood. And then this is where Superman kneed him in the face, and then grabbed him by the leg and threw him, right? And so this is where more Viltrumites started to come. And even though they can't do nothing, their numbers can be overwhelming. So it's kind of like it was a little bit difficult for Superman to, like, punch one while another one, as he punches one away, one comes behind him and all this other stuff. So he's holding his own, right? And then this is where he says enough, and then this is where he charges, right? He charges in his laser vision, he shoots it out. He's not trying to decapitate folks, he just burns them, basically. It's like Cyclops super laser vision, but it's more like it feels like a punch rather than like burning. Like, he can make it burn, but that's what it's like. It's like a burning punch. So he forces him back, right? And then this is where he helps Oliver out, as Oliver hits Conquest, right? He hits Conquest. That famous ass meme where Conquest was behind Oliver as he swatted him away, right? And then this is where he was like, Oliver, no. And then that's where Conquest tried to do the same thing. But boy, oh motherfucking boy. Y'all ever seen that meme where it's like the Prowler's theme, and y'all ever seen like Goku when he's mad and it's like, you know what? I'ma put that right here in the video. Because you know what's about to happen. He tried to smack him, right? He tried to smack him out the air too, right? Tell me why. Tell Conquest why Superman did not move an inch. He tried to smack him and his hand just like broke instantly. And then this is where Superman slowly turns around. As he turned around, Conquest looked puzzled at first, right? And then he looked down and he realized that Superman's hand was through his, stomach, right? And then this is where that force comes back, right? And he shoots straight down. And then this is where Conquest is not gonna stop. Viltrumite's not gonna stop when they fight. So, he came back, and that's where it gets bloody, brutal, and grimy. And then he said, you think you can stop me? I'm only just a predecessor to what's really coming. And then he was like, I will kill that redheaded beep, beep, and all that other stuff, cursing about Eve. And then this is where it made Superman even more angrier, as he was punching and punching. And then this is where Conquest tried to use the last kryptonite that he had and try to stab Clark, but that shit did not work. Actually, you know what? Let's just say for plot's sakes, it did work. But Superman looked at it, got weakened, took that shit out, threw it, and then started beating on Conquest's head top again. And then this is where he gives one final punch, and this is where we're gonna say imagine this. Imagine a landmass that's the size of Texas, Alabama, and New Mexico. Just all right there. That's a pretty big landmass. When he gave that final punch, he leveled that whole area. Like, if it was a small planet, so we're gonna say that Superman basically destroyed most of that surface on that planet. Like, it was like a huge explosion. And then this is where he stands up and he was like, and he looks at the sky, and then he blasts off towards the sky, right? He blasts off towards the sky as he carries Mark, because Mark was in like a badass condition. He was in a badass condition. So this is where he grabs Mark, and this is where Mark was like, he was screaming in pain. He was like, it's okay, Mark. I did it. I finished it for you. Everything's gonna be okay. And then this is where Mark was like, is it over? And then this is what Clark said, yes, it's over. And that is, wait, no, I'm not gonna leave it out for it here yet. So after that, we flip to where Battle Beast is at the headquarters as Mark, is being taken care of by the doctors. He's getting the medical treatment that he needs. And this is where Battle Beast and the planets that he also enslaved join the coalition of planets to now come towards Thrag, right? So this is where Thrag, where we see a sequence of Thrag as he's basically saying we're preparing for an invasion. So he said, get everything ready. And then we're going to leave that what if off, right? So it fades to black, or it just turns black after he says, prepare for an invasion, get ready for my arrival, right? So that's where we're going to leave this what if off. I hope y'all enjoy this what if, man. Kind of like an hour special, nothing crazy. Hope y'all enjoyed this what if, man. I appreciate y'all for all the love and support. I have not uploaded in 2 months. I know. So with all the things that was going on in my life, I hope this video makes up for lost time, and I'm gonna start pushing more videos out when I can. I do apologize for my delays. I know I'm very good at that, but when it's time for me to lock in and record some videos for y'all, I do that. So I appreciate y'all for all the love and support. I would say yes, the baby that Eve is having is going to be Superboy. So I hope y'all enjoyed that little part and piece, right? Other than that, man, I really just appreciate y'all for all the love and support. I really hope y'all really enjoyed this what if, this Invincible stuff is actually pretty fire, man. I'm really enjoying doing this. So make sure y'all stay tuned for the next video, because I'm gonna do a Smallville. I'm uploading a Smallville, and we're gonna do like 2 or 3 episodes of Smallville in one video. And then we got the jobless reincarnation. What if Itachi was in jobless reincarnation? We're gonna finish that part, and then we're gonna flip right back into Miles. What if Miles was in Spectacular Spider-Man? And then we're gonna do what if Mori Jin. Y'all could choose what if Mori Jin, if y'all want High School DxD back, what if Mori Jin was in High School DxD, or what if Mori Jin was in My Hero Academia. But appreciate y'all for all the love and support y'all been showing me, and this is what Redux What Ifs signing out. Make sure y'all check the movies if I haven't.